friends, it's me, Jowella from 3 Angels for Kids, and this is our latest episode in Designed by Our Creator. Today, we're talking about one of the most mysterious and exciting parts of God's creation, dinosaurs. Can you imagine a world where giant creatures like the T-Rex, the Triceratops, and the Brachiosaurus once roamed? Sounds like something out of a movie, right? But dinosaurs were real, and they were a part of God's amazing creation. But wait, if dinosaurs were a part of our world, then why don't we see them today? That's a great question. The Bible tells us that after sin entered the world, things started to change. The perfect world that God created was affected by sin, leading to sickness, suffering, and even death. Then came the great worldwide flood in the time of Noah. The Bible tells us that people had turned their back to God and were so full of hate that he sent a flood to clean up the planet and give us another chance. You know the story of Noah and the flood, right? And how God told Noah to build an ark to save the animals? Maybe there was a dinosaur in that great big boat, and maybe there wasn't. I really can't tell you that because the Bible doesn't say. All I know is that God is in charge of the universe, and whether the dinosaurs disappeared before or after the flood doesn't really matter. What does matter is that God is an amazing creator and does everything for our good. Even though dinosaurs aren't around today, we can still find clues about them. Fossils are like little time capsules, reminding us of the world before the flood. Some of these fossils even show evidence of a sudden watery catastrophe, just like the Bible describes. Isn't that amazing? And guess what? Scientists recently found chemical markers of DNA in dinosaur bones. That's a really big deal because DNA is super delicate and breaks down pretty quickly. But here's the thing. Scientists say dinosaurs lived millions of years ago, and there's no way that DNA should last that long. So how could it still be there? When animals die, their bodies start to break down. Tiny bacteria and stuff in the environment help with the process, especially when there's water and air around. DNA, along with other important molecules like proteins, fats, and usually fall apart pretty fast. In the best conditions, these molecules might last for a few thousand years, but not millions. Still, scientists keep finding these special molecules in fossils. One of the coolest discoveries is from a big plant-eating dinosaur that looks kind of like a duck with a fancy crest on its head. It's called Hippocasaurus. In some of their bones, scientists found that they look like tiny cell parts and even chemicals markers that point to DNA. But here's a question. If DNA breaks down so fast, how could it be there if dinosaurs lived millions of years ago? That just doesn't make sense. The discovery actually fits better with what the Bible says, that God created everything not too long ago. If dinosaurs lived thousands of years ago, not millions, it's easier to understand how their DNA could still be around. Isn't it amazing that how discoveries like this point to God's perfect design and how his creation isn't as old as some people think? The more scientists study, the more they find clues that match the Bible's account of history. So, what can we learn from dinosaurs? First, they remind us that God is the ultimate designer. He made creatures of all shapes and sizes, from the tiniest insects to the largest creatures. Second, they remind us that sin changed the world, but God's love never changed. And finally, they remind us that one day, God will restore his creation, just like he promised. In the new earth, there will be no more death, no more suffering, and no more sin. Won't that be wonderful? Thanks for joining me on this dino-sized adventure. Remember, when we look at the world around us, even in fossils, we can see the fingerprints of our loving Creator. That's why the first angel tells us to worship God who made the heavens, the earth, the seas, and the springs of water. I'll see you next time on Designed by Our Creator. Bye for now!